Welcome to the Emerging CyberSec Professional Series at the Coffee Corner Show, powered by the Emerging India Forum TIF and a tech partner, Prime Infotech Solution. Theme is Between Firewalls and Frameworks. Sandesh Jadhav on AI governance and data privacy. A global authority in AI governance, cybersecurity, and data privacy law. A name synonymous with foresight in data protection and digital ethics. Sandesh bridges aviation's legislative compliance and cutting edge cybersecurity architecture with unmatched agility. His journey spans cockpit communications, courtroom complexities, and boardroom strategies. From securing avionics with Boeing and Airbus to implementing AI regulations at global enterprises, Sandesh blends law, tech, and leadership into a singular vision for digital trust. Whether it's decoding the EU AI Act or leading OWASP top 10 assessments for LLMs, this conversation is packed with clarity, caution, and curiosity. Get ready to explore the human behind the hardware and the mindset behind the machine. And recently, he got appointed as chairman of a committee for AI, data privacy, uh, School of Law, Dhirubhai Ambani University. So, congratulations for that appointment. And we look forward to more contributions to different forums. So,
Thank,
welcome, Sunday, to this coffee conversation. So,
thank you. Thanks a lot. My pleasure.
so let me explain you, Sandesh. There will be three rounds: professional journey, personal journey, and a surprise rapid fire round where you will be in the hot seat and you have to be witty, fun, and quick. And here's your book, inspiring. Is your organization cyber healthy? Which will be autographed and sent to you.
Thank you.
So let's begin. So, friends, I'm Lion Amir Virani, host at Coffee Conversation, legal tech evangelist at Prime Infotech Solution. We help law firms, corporate legal, startups, SMEs with world-class technology, software licensing, and tech training solutions. So, my first question, Sandesh, how has the journey shaped up, and what were the key defining moments?
Yeah. So my journey has started. Has started my journey as a aircraft communication engineer. I'm a communication engineer for the aircraft. So the work which I used to do, my first job was with Jet Airways, what I now we used to put up the satellite communications in place, the routers, switches, the RFID, the radio communication. So that used to be my hands-on experience. While doing that, the key challenges is like you have to secure that communication. You must be knowing the way aviation has shaped up. The aviation route or the aero route has been evolved because of warfare. Like the innovators or the revolutionists, they have not identified aircraft for a business trip or for the pleasure trip. Aircraft has got invented for wars, and the similar the legacy is still continuing. That whenever aircraft is flying, it get continuously communications from the ground. Now, if I were to invent that aircraft, now there are a lot of high tech systems like anti-radar systems and all. But previously, the interruption, or if I want to invade into that communication system, or if I want that, if I want to take down that aircraft, then I need to intrude into that communication system. So we also used to secure the communication channel. There are different frequencies like primary frequency, secondary frequency on which the communication with pilot is continuously happening. So security was part and parcel of my profile, like how to secure that communication channel between air to ground, between air to air, and between ground to ground. So here was my first step of cybersecurity. And
Wow.
while doing so, then we have learned a various aspect of geopolitical also, because as you know, Jet Airways was an international airline.
Yep.
So while setting up this communication infrastructure on various airports, we used to deal with the multiple telecom authorities of various countries or various geographies. Like if I want to set up in Belgium, then Belgacom, CETA, Orange Business Services. Like this, there are various telco partners with whom we used to deal with. And while implementing that varied infrastructure, there are so many different elements, like apart from routers, switches, or Nortel succession servers, or Nortel passports, or Blue Code servers, the Citrix net scalers. There are various boxes. How to configure that? So I used to do that hands-on. So this is how, my cyber security journey has started. And then eventually I have moved into BFSI sector. I have also moved into GRC domain. Then how to secure the payment card gateways, the PCI DSS framework, how to implement entire ecosystem in place with the various supply chain vendors who are offering right from printing of your credit card, debit card, putting the magnetic strip, afterwards putting the electronic chip, and then putting the CVV numbers or putting the 16-digit number, how the entire supply chain happen, and how these cards, which belongs to banking industry, how are they talking to Visa, Mastercard, and then through e-commerce gateways. This entire supply chain, how to make it secure. And then in this competition world, one bank wanted to compete with another bank by showcasing that my product is surplus in terms of technology, in terms of capacity management, in terms of security. Security aspect used to come at much later stage during that era. I'm talking about a long story, almost 1.5 decade back. And there I got an opportunity to interact with the board of directors of various banks, the regulatory bodies like RBI, IRDA, where the rules, how RBI has to intervene and give a guideline on how to print a credit card, up to that micro level. We have got an interaction, and from there, shaping up the public policy for the regulator, shaping up the SOPs for the banks, or shaping up the SOPs or implementing these frameworks for their business people, for their technology people, for their lawyers. This is how we got a multi-dimensional exposure, and this is how my cyber security journey got shaped up.
Wow, beautiful. Okay. So let's dive deep into conversation. Uh, Sandesh, you've handled vendor risk assessments, DPIAs, and AI impact audits. How do you ensure consistency across jurisdictions?
So there is a delta only which get differs. Okay, for all across the jurisdiction, the principles remain same. Like in GDPR Article 35, they have mentioned about the DPI structure. And we are having some frameworks like ISO 27701, which talks about PIMS. We are having ISO 27018, which talks about PI data in cloud. So the baseline structure remains the core elements like purpose of processing the PI data, PI, PHR, PFI data. Like if I'm processing the data for a legitimate purpose, for a business purpose, am I processing this data cross border? What are the categories and sensitivity of the data? The lawful basis for that processing, how the entire data flow happens through, is it happen through secure network architecture, or it's happening only between the public cloud to public cloud? How does it happen? Then what are the technical and organizational measure which I'm going to put up in a place? What are the security controls? What are the risk mitigation techniques which I'm implementing? All these baselines are going to remain the same. But there are few delta elements which getting deferred. For example, in CPRA or CCPA, there is a possibility of putting this measure in place only if I'm doing business of particular amount or if I'm serving some X amount of user. If that is the case, then I'm going to put up the CPRA. That is not the case for the GDPR or LGBT. So consent management, as per our DPTP Act, consent management is a key. We emphasize our Indian DPTP rules and our Indian DPTP Act are emphasizing on consent management. But that is not a case in CPRA. In China's PIPL, the data privacy law goes hand in hand with their data protection laws. You cannot bring your own keys. Their government manages the keys of their data centers, of their public data centers, of course. So these are the few delta element change. But ultimate philosophy of this data privacy law is, am I processing the data of data subject right
Mm.
with extra caution, with reasonable security measures, and with a legal basis? And when I'm doing this, is my data subject knows about it? Is my data subject informed about it? If he doesn't like his data to get processed in outside the country or cross border, then he should have right to withdraw his consent. If all these mechanisms are in place, then your DPIs and AI impact audits are being taken care of.
Wow.
Like I spoke about the data privacy laws. Same goes with EU AI Act. Whenever I'm processing any data subject's data or any organization's data, if I'm using AI ML model, is it bias free?
Mhm.
What goes in that AI ML model? Am I putting the transparency there? Am I putting the explainable AI? Are my AI ML models comes up with the model cards so that I should know as my data is getting processed in this particular AI ML model? Is it safe and secure? So all these underlying base principles are same. So if jurisdiction get changed, then only the delta part get changed, which we ask during our DPI or which we include during our DPIs.
Wow. Beautiful. So, Sandesh, you work across aviation, finance, tech, academia. What core cyber risk overlap across these domains?
So see, on all these sectors, as I explained in my previous for your previous question, the baseline principle. The baseline principle is of what? That my data should be safe. Now, if I give you an example, my cloud storage. If I'm working for fintech industry, I'm going to save the financial transaction or what data subject is having what kind of finances stored in that cloud against his name or against his entry or against his identifiable parameter. Same thing goes for aviation also. In aviation, if I'm exploiting any data subject's rights or any of his data, what I'm going to the information which I'm going to get is how much transaction he's did, from which point to which point he traveled, from how many days in a year he traveled. While traveling, whatever PI information, like where he's going to stay, for how long he's going to stay, all that information I'm going to put up in a cloud or my on-prem data center. So now, if I misconfigured my cloud storage or my on-prem data center, if my weak access controls are there, and they might, turn up into a major data leak. So whether it's a fintech, finance, tech, or aviation, the baseline principle or the risk is going to remain the same. So what are we going to do? We are going to abide to the regulator of that respective sector. For example, we are having DGCA or FAA for aviation. For banking, we are having RBI. For insurance, we are having IRDA. So those regulators are putting up few guidelines in timely manner, and my job is to abide by those guidelines. Like there are sector specific standards, like ICO is there for aviation, PCI DSS is there for payment card gateway. Now, the way I'm going to exploit data is through either social engineering or through my attack types like injections or human error or his misconduct or his deliberate sabotage or poor access governance. All these attack styles are going to remain same. Now, if I want to safeguard the way the attack is happening, the safeguard techniques are also going to be the same, whichever sector is this. Yeah. So like this, the overlapping happen between the way data is getting exploited and the way data is going to be safeguarded. That underlying principle is always going to remain the same.
Wow,
Because you
beautiful.
have seen, yeah, OEMs, like, there are, like, I won't take names of OEMs, but there
Mm,
are OEMs which are not sector specific. The same
mm.
OEM who is producing, manufacturing firewall, he is doing it for aviation also, finance also, and tech also. So this, like, this goes across the sector.
Wow. Okay. So, Sandesh, how do you ensure AI systems remain ethical, explainable, and compliant while scaling globally?
So, like, what we have, in my past organization or the clients to for which I worked to ensure the AI system, you must be knowing there used to be a entire life cycle of software development. In entire SDLC, we used to put up the principle of DevSecOps in DevOps, like, in development and ops. We used to put up the sec. What is that sec? Sec is a security. So development, security, and operations. In this, there was era come where I have to put up the privacy by design principle to manage my privacy related issues. So DevSec privacy ops happened. Now DevSec privacy AI ops has come. What it means? That the way I used to implement all my system, the secure system, like I used to carry out VA, PT, code reviews, so that my application code is going to remain intact, hack free. Then comes my privacy by design principle, where I made sure that all my privacy principle has been implemented in that uh, particular life cycle of software development. In similar way, I am going to put up AI impact assessment or my AI governance by design principle, so that I am going to embed the ethical, legal, bias free, and privacy principle right from the conception of the model. So, what it means? It, like, I'm including or defining in my SOP the acceptable use cases. Like, how do I, mitigate the bias or the audit trail or the development for which, the data I have collected for one particular purpose. Now, once my AI model got trained, that particular data has to be deleted. So, ethical AI principle works on basically four pillars like fairness, transparency, explainability. The these are two principles. Accountability and responsibility is the third principle, where there should be clearly ownership for the decision of that AI ML model. Like, he should, that if anything goes wrong, the manufacturer of that AI ML model or the programmer of that AI ML model should take the accountability and ownership. Then we should have human in loop oversight. It ensures that AI augments rather than replacing the entire human intervention. So these are the primarily four pillars of ethical AI. Now, how I'm going to check this? How I'm going to, I'm going to put up the technical controls for explainability and security. What that means? Like, whatever code I have written, there are already top 10 OAPs for LLM and Gen AI are available in the market. What they check? They check if technical controls has been put up perfectly or not, so that my data which is getting invaded, is it getting exploited? What are the chances of my data is getting hacked? For this, I am going to test not only from the AI security perspective, but also, as you asked, that AI governance. For example, there are model explainability tools like SHAP and Lime and all. I'm going to do a testing. I'm going to purposely put up the question for checking if the answer or the output which this particular AI model is giving, is it having bias to particular community or particular gender or particular religion or caste? If I came to know by this kind of testing or functional testing, we call it as. So if I do function testing and I'm still getting inputs with a bias, there's a time to change the code or time to change the training behavior or the training of this particular model. So this is how, you should make sure that ethical and explainable and compliant scale. And of course, see, like currently there are laws at niche stage in US as well as the EU. Now, as this AI model we have start implementing with more maturity, with all these four principles which I have explained to abide to. If we start doing this, then we will have the more and most the use cases in which we will also develop the strategies of making the particular Python code, whichever is going to get turned into AIML model. How to make that code itself is a bias free. That's something we can develop.
You sit at the intersection of law and technology, Sandesh. How do you translate legal language into engineering protocols?
So it's a mutual. Like lawyers need to understand engineering language, engineers needs to understand lawyers language. So whenever we are writing the DTA, DPAs or SOWs, like data privacy agreement or data transfer addendum, whenever we are writing that, we should make sure that my engineer understand the language, whatever has been written in that particular scope of work or data privacy agreement. My engineer should understand that the things which are written in this legal document are not only contractual obligations, but it's legally binding. If there are 10 items written for under the technical and organizational matter, uh, and if my engineer understand that out of implementing these 10 measures, let me put up only 9 measures and let me just go away with the 10th measure. So that is not the way the engineer should behave. So our job as a data privacy professional, we are the middleman or we are acting as a bridge between the engineers and lawyers. So our job is to explain the engineer the importance of that contract. Now, in case the data leak or data breach happens, my data controller is going to open this contract or the DTA, DPNA, he is going to ask me the first question. I have asked you to implement these 10 technical measures. Have you implemented that? That time engineer cannot come and say that, I was not knowing this, that once it's written in a contract, I need to abide all things. I was under, like engineer would say that he was under the impression that if I took even 8 out of 10 steps or even 9 out of 10 steps, my systems are secure. My ISO or my SOX audit are giving me that much liberty that the maximum thing, whatever you want to do, you do it. And you show me the audit, you show me the evidences, you show me the documentation, and you will get ISO or SOX certification. So this is the mindset of engineers. Their brain works only in a technical way. Whereas lawyers, they don't know, they don't understand the difference between AES 256 and 3DS. If someone is asking us you to do encryption with AES, so lawyers should know encryption is not a generic word. Lawyer should further break it down that whether it should be DES encryption or 3DS or AES. Now, this thing kind of things we should explain to the lawyers. So, as I said, it's a vice versa. Now, good, with our good Indian education system, there are a lot of good tech law colleges have come up or tech law universities has come up who teach technology to the lawyer and law to the technologies. Like, what are the rules of keeping the data? It doesn't mean if I'm having 100 terabytes of server, so I don't have to delete the data. Engineer will say, okay, once my hard disk or once my storage get full, I'm going to delete the data. But is my law allowing me to do so? Is my law allowing me to keep that data lying there where I've signed the retention clause? So engineer also should know what does the importance of that retention clause is.
Wow.
Like,
Okay.
in my previous organization, uh, they would say, like, vendor is a well-known vendor in the market. I don't have to carry out any vendor impact assessment or DPI or TI on the vendor. This is a mindset of engineer. But lawyers knows that this contract which I'm making, it's a SOW or scope of work specific. So that whenever, every time I'm signing a new SOW with that vendor, every time I need to undergo this kind of assessment. So this is
Wow.
how, like, interaction challenges between tech and lawyers happens.
Wow. So, Sandesh, what are the most overlooked risks when it comes to implementing AI in cybersecurity operations?
So most overlooked, see, it's a, new field. Not everyone are expert here, but there are risks which we can all foresee, kind of model poisoning. Uh, so poisoning is one of the major risks, which is getting overlooked. If my AI and ML model, whatever output is giving, is like previously we spoke about the bias free and all, but it should be poisoning. It shouldn't be like poisoning attack kind of attack shouldn't be done on that AI ML model. Training data contamination. If my data, which is getting trained, if the data is getting contaminated, so for example, I'm like my EDR or my XOR alerts, I have configured, and if I poison that alert because model learns to ignore one specific pattern. If model is doing that, it's going to be risk for me. Over reliance on AI driven alerts is also going to be risk for me because you must be knowing in a sim tool we are having false positive. Now to get rid of this false positive, we have started implementing the tool which are AI driven. So such over reliance on AI driven tool is going to be the problem for us,
Wow.
to all of us. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Sandesh, how does your experience in avionics and aerospace engineering influence your cybersecurity approach today?
Huh, so aviation aerospace, what, you doesn't have room there. We used to sit in ATC tower. One mistake and the plane gone. We have seen in recently what happened in during that Ahmedabad incident, right? A smallest mistake, a smallest, if you are a smallest or the weakest link, because of which any glitch can happen in aviation or aerospace. Like aerospace, we are investing more than, say, for example, 1,000 to 2,000 crores rupees. Can you imagine? It's not only we are not going to apply the Six Sigma there. We are have to apply the 10 Sigma there. What does this mean? If I am putting so much efforts for implementation of this particular technology in aviation industry or aerospace industry, why I'm doing that? Like I'm talking about the cyber security system. Why I'm doing that? So that my data shouldn't get exploited. Now the same principle I am going to put up in the avionics or aerospace industry. Never compromise on safety and always design for resilience. This is what aerospace and avionics industry taught to me, and same thing I'm replicating in after my aviation industry, my job went into the finance industry. So where we anticipate the failures and we build in the redundancy, the BCBDR plan. So now, if you know, previously we didn't used to give much attention to BCBDR during ISO 27001 as well as ISO 2771. Now we are checking ISO under ISO 27701 about the BCB and DR plan also. Actually, it's a CIA's responsibility, right, to do this. But we, as a data privacy professional, we have started doing this. So now your question was about the experience in avionics and aerospace. Now, as I said earlier, in avionics, failure is not an option. I can be failed today. There is a 365 days, in a year on which exclude the Saturday, Sunday, and I work for around, I mean, 300 days. And now, say for example, uh, sorry, I miscommunicated your question. Can you repeat your question? It was like
Yeah,
how
I'll
my
just
experience in avionics and aerospace, right? Yeah.
influence
Can
your
you repeat it?
cybersecurity approach today.
Yeah. Okay. So during my cybersecurity approach, as I mentioned earlier, in avionics and aerospace, they have taught me that never compromise on safety
Yeah.
and always go for resilience. Always design the resilience. So if I am doing a small mistake in a one day out of those 365 days, is it acceptable? What day that day can be turned into Mayday for my pilot. So there is no room for safety. So failure is not an option. It was a never an option, not for a single flight. So you cannot say I am handling 50 flights in a day. So if I apply Six Sigma out of 100 flights, one flight I can work with a failure. That's not going to happen, right? So similar way in cybersecurity also, I cannot sit idle for one day, or I cannot put my system for the on the open public net just because I can do it for 1 hour or 2 hours. No, that cannot be done, right? Even if hacker come to know that this system is unavailable, unavailability of the data is my threat to my data. Yeah, you must be like this. If they come to know this system is unavailable, even for a 1 minute, he can intrude within a minute, right, or within a fraction of second. Now, this is what avionics and aviation taught me. I always be on top, uh, and you have to work very precisely. Precision under pressure is one of the key element. And engineering disciplines has to meet the cyber threats. I can apply the philosophy of designing the most stringent control with the redundancy. Like in my aviation, if my primary frequency get failed, it gets converted or it gets switched on to my secondary frequency. Similarly, in cybersecurity also, if my one system get failure, the resiliency should work in a fraction of second, so
Mm.
that there is no room for hacker to enter into the system.
Beautiful.
Sure.
What do you believe is the next big threat vector in global data privacy over the next 5 years?
Okay. So AI-powered data interference is one of the biggest threat vector. Like whatever attack vectors are there, whatever attack mechanisms are there, they are now AI-powered. So I don't have to initiate my attack manually. So my AI powered vector knows where to attack and when to attack. My re-identification of my PI data, my PHI data or PFI data is also going to be the biggest threat vector. So currently whatever data I'm anonymizing or pseudonymizing data and that is got spread using my AI techniques, I can re-identify those individuals. I can put back those puzzles back into the place. So that is one of the one more the threat which I can think of. Then there is something cross-border data flows. Now how the conditions are between the two countries, the geopolitics. Now whatever take and org measures we are going to implement today in that contractual obligation, like new SCC controls and all are the one of the stringent control which we put. But what are those controls? Those controls are not the controls which has been put up on or configured on any system. Those controls are nothing but contracts. Now, during my geopolitical risk tension, during my such kind of any, we'll end up in a situation, then who is going to manage or how much value that org measure or those legal measures is having. So that is going to be also a biggest threat vector. Also, we are all going on IoT devices. Our home meters are electric meters are IoT based. My car opening system, my door opening system, they are all IoT based. So a lot of huge data collection is happening. You
Wow.
must be knowing if you walk into the airport using your Retina Sky, the gates are getting open for the DG Yatra. Those are all what? Those are all IoT devices. So
Mm.
my PI data is getting compromised. My Retina Sky data is publicly available. For whom? For DG Yatra. Now that data is linked up with my travel. plans, my taxation, the kind of swap I have done for booking the airline ticket. So this has if you interconnect all these things, the threats, if we are going to foresee in future, they are going to be more precise. Their failure rate will be very minimal, and this is going to be like you know uh, the biggest threat vectors in coming 5 years.
Wow, beautiful. So let's go memory down the lane. What's been the most challenging regulatory case in your career and how did you navigate it?
So maybe I cannot disclose any of my real life case. Maybe a hypothetical example I can give,
Yeah.
because all of these cases are in a court of law, and because of our confidentiality agreement, whichever we sign with our organization and with whoever's data we are processing as our organization. Like I have done that in previous also, and in this order. Like even after leaving the organization, I cannot do that. See, if I
I
want to deal with any case, maybe hypothetical where cases are getting overlapped. Say, for example, a taxation case is going on, where organization want my data to be kept for longer than 10 years or till the case are till the results are out in a lower court. And then again, if that particular decision of on that case is getting a challenge in a higher court, then till what time I can keep my data? Now,
hmm,
this is going in tangential with the data privacy laws, which talks about the data retention timeline or the data
hmm,
deletion mechanism. So here, wherever the overlap happen, uh, like you know, it's one of our biggest regulatory challenge. Also, the jurisdiction. If particular company belongs to say EU, but their data center is in China, and the software which they run on that particular Chinese data center belongs to US or Israel, then all four jurisdiction will come to picture. So these are a few of the hypothetical example I have given.
yeah. Thank you. Okay. So, Sandesh, how do you mentor or educate the young cybersecurity professionals in your team and outside?
So again, as I said earlier, whatever views I'm going to be expressing, those are my individual views. Okay, those are not belong to my company, my organization, and whatever things we are doing, whatever things we are doing currently in my organization, that I cannot disclose. Okay,
Mhm.
but the ideal way to mentor this young professional is the line uh, is becoming a thinner and thinner. So the multidisciplinary or cross-functional knowledge transfer has to be there. If you know
Mhm.
previously, if you go 2 decades back, network engineer used to configure the Lotus Notes or Outlook server. Okay, so everyone used to know everything. Now, almost a decade back, this trend got changed. Almost 10 years back. Now there is a no longer trend where a Lotus Notes has to be configured by network guy or AD has to be the Active Directory has to be set up by network. Those things are gone now. But having said that, the line between the law and technology becoming a thinner and thinner. So I mentor my lawyers to learn technology and I mentor my technical manpower to understand the law. If both of them goes hand in hand, then
Yeah.
the same contract won't happen to and fro multiple times. So this is what like you we can this is the way we
Appreciate.
can mentor our students.
Oh, good. Okay. So my next question. You're deeply involved in academic curriculum design, Sandesh. How should we reshape the cyber law education for the AI age?
So I speak on various forums for colleges. So one of the thing which I ask all the students to do is get maximum hands-on experience. The world
Hmm.
outside your college is going to teach you all soft skills and all everything till the time you are in college. Go in your computer lab, develop the LLM model. LLM models can be developed over Core i5 or Core i7 simple PC as well. You don't have even like need to have the high tech labs like in our times. You must be remembering, if you need to understand what is a satellite, there used to be satellite radio, TV, radar units. It used to be there in our labs. Now that is not required. In this field of IT, your laptop and you, or your computer and you, both of these things, you are more than mature enough to get the information on this particular topic, so that uh, like how today's students or how academicians should teach to their student, like go and make your hands dirty in designing a LLM, in securing the LLM,
Right.
and do the maximum cross. Like one of the I remember in one of the college I was telling. So the next technology is going to come is about the driverless car. He said, "Sir, but these are all computer students. How can they learn and why they should learn about driverless cars?" So I told him in driverless car, more than 60% of the things are run on AI. So if you take example of Google car, Tesla car, Facebook car, Apple car. These are all what? These are all IT companies. Being IT companies, they were developing the cars. So you have to teach student that don't be act like thinking of only your project, only your stream. It has to be interdisciplinary. So I have told these computer guys, these computer students, to go and sit with mechanical people, check how they are developing system using IoT and IIoT. So this is how I suggest to the students uh, to do the changes in their syllabus.
Beautiful. So let's go to next round and understand Sandesh as a person. Uh, so Sandesh, do you have a go-to ritual or hobby that recharges your mind after intense cybersecurity work?
I play mridangam. Uh, I love music. I love classical music. I travel. I go for trek. So if I go for trekking, if I carry my music along with me, so it's the best ritual for me.
Wow, beautiful. So what are your trekking plans for 2025?
Trekking plans. So we are having Western Ghats. We are having Sahyadri Mountains here in Maharashtra. So now monsoon season is on. Every alternate weekend, we are visiting some or the other forts of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. So we do trek on Shivaji Maharaj forts, and then I do one Himalayan trip once in a year.
Wow. Okay. So is there a book or film that's profoundly shaped your thinking outside of work?
Book, book,
Yeah. Is there a book or film?
book. It's a book. It's a book which
Yeah.
has
So
shaped
which
me.
one? Which one?
I said 1984 by George Orwell, and he talks extensively about the Orwellian state. And there it was, he has baseline, like he has written this book almost in 1940s. And in this book, he has written about future, how the future is going to be, how the
Mhm.
state actors are going to act as a surveillance actors also, how the state is going to make a surveillance. So he foreseen the thing, and now he has written that book as how the things are going to shape up in 1984. That he has written in 1940, like I think 1945 or during 1947 he has written this novel. So this has really shaped my thinking.
Wow, beautiful. So what's one tradition or value from your family that stayed with you all these years?
Stay positive, stay focused, stay disciplined.
Beautiful. Sir. So Sandesh, you mastered disciplines from philosophy to economics. Do you use storytelling as a way to explain complex ideas?
Yeah, of course, and I think that is the way it should be done, because a lot of complex legal bases or legal statutes has to be explained to engineer in a philosophical manner, and vice versa. There is a complex way to design the system, How do you explain this to the lawyer? So I use my philosophical discipline or my economical discipline, or maybe business strategy ideas. Those has to be relayed on to the technical people or to the lawyer or to my data privacy professional. So the idea of economics has to go, why we are doing this business, the legitimate purpose of this business, it has to go. So of course I create a stories and I need to simplify it in a philosophical manner.
Wow. So my last one is a googly one. Describe Sandesh in one line.
I'm a messenger. Sandesh means a message. So
Wow.
I'm a
Yeah.
messenger for the lawyers. I'm a messenger of engineers for engineers. I am a messenger of lawyers. I'm the one who relay the message between the teams, between the boards, between the implementers, between to the implementers, to the regulators, to the courtrooms, from courtroom to the boardroom. So, messenger is my
Wow.
one word description.
Beautiful, Sanjay. Sandesh. Let's put you in the hot seat, Sandesh. The rapid fire round. AI that reads your mind or AI that predicts your future?
AI which reads my mind, or AI who reads
That
my
predicts your future.
predicts. So I will go for predicts my future, not with the one which will read my mind.
Wow. Your favorite color?
It's white,
Your go to comfort food?
dal chawal,
Avionics or algorithms?
avionics,
Compliance or creativity?
creative compliance,
One word that defines the future of cybersecurity.
stay alert,
Wow.
stay
Best
vigilant.
piece, best piece of advice received.
Advice received from my mentors in aviation industry that whatever you are doing, you do it with full heartedly. Like don't do it 90% or 80%. Whatever you are doing, give your 100%, give your best efforts. This stays with
Beautiful.
me for a very long time.
Your favorite Maharashtrian cuisine?
Vada pav?
We'll have vada pav together.
Yeah,
VT pe
sure.
Aram vada pav.
Sure.
Yeah. A mantra you live by.
Mantra, keep going, keep working.
Beautiful. Tea or coffee to recharge?
Coffee,
Yeah, the coffee share.
I'm having it now.
So you did well, and here's a book which will be autographed when we meet and have vada pav together.
Sure. Thank you. My,
Okay.
mm, yeah, I mean, can we stop recording? Yeah, I mean, is it done?
No, last part.
Okay.
Samir. Yeah. So, Sandesh, this conversation has been nothing short of phenomenal. From decoding AI frameworks to navigating data privacy laws across borders, you have painted a powerful picture of what true cyber leadership looks like. Your unique ability to bridge cockpit systems with compliance strategies and legal mandates with machine learning has not only informed us, that it has also inspired us. So, to our viewers, if you found value in today's episode, do like, share, and subscribe to the Coffee Corner Show on YouTube, where there are 500 plus coffee speakers shared their professional personal journey. More transformative stories and trailblazing professionals await in the episodes to come. Until then, stay curious, stay secure, and keep the conversation brewing. We meet on Monday with another coffee speaker and continue conversation, cup of coffee. Thank you.
Thank you.